In the heart of Mexico City, beneath layers of concrete and centuries of accumulated earth, lies a secret that the Aztec Empire took extraordinary measures to hide. Deep within the foundations of their most sacred temple, archaeologists have discovered something that defies conventional explanation: a tunnel, deliberately sealed by the Aztecs themselves, leading to a chamber they believed connected to Mictlan, the realm of the dead. This is not merely another archaeological discovery. This is evidence of a civilization that chose to lock away something so powerful, so dangerous, or so sacred that they would rather bury it forever than risk what might emerge. The tunnel remains sealed to this day, its secrets intact, its purpose shrouded in mystery. What did the Aztecs fear so much that they would seal their own pathway to the underworld? What lies beyond that barrier of stone and earth, waiting in the darkness of centuries? Historical context: the sacred heart of an empire. The Templo Mayor stood as the spiritual and political nucleus of Tenochtitlan, the magnificent capital of the Aztec Empire that once sprawled across the lake-filled valley of Mexico. Rising from the center of this island metropolis in the 14th and 15th centuries, the temple was far more than a religious structure. It was the axis around which the entire Aztec cosmos revolved. The temple's distinctive twin pyramids, dedicated to Huitzilopochtli, the god of war and the sun, and Tlaloc, the ancient rain deity, represented the dual nature of Aztec spirituality. The eternal struggle between the forces of life and death, creation and destruction, the celestial and the terrestrial. Construction of the Templo Mayor began around 1325 CE, but the structure we see today in archaeological excavations represents the culmination of multiple building phases, each expansion marking significant events in Aztec history. The temple was rebuilt and enlarged 7 times, with each new layer built over the previous structure, creating a complex archaeological palimpsest that tells the story of the empire's rise to power. By the time of the Spanish conquest in 1521, the temple stood approximately 60 meters high, dominating the skyline of Tenochtitlan and serving as a visible symbol of Aztec power that could be seen from great distances across the lake. The religious significance of the Templo Mayor cannot be overstated. According to Aztec cosmology, the temple represented the sacred mountain of Cotepec, where Huitzilopochtli was born and where he defeated his siblings in divine combat. More importantly, the temple served as the earthly manifestation of the cosmic tree that connected the 3 levels of existence: the celestial realm of the gods, the terrestrial world of humans, and the underworld of Mictlan, the realm of the dead. This tripartite division of the universe was fundamental to Aztec religious thought, and the temple's architecture reflected this cosmic structure in every detail. The ritual practices conducted at the Templo Mayor were elaborate and deeply symbolic. The temple complex included multiple altars, ceremonial platforms, and sacred spaces where priests performed daily offerings to maintain the balance between the human and divine worlds. The most famous of these rituals involved human sacrifice, which the Aztecs viewed not as an act of cruelty but as a necessary offering to ensure the continuation of the cosmic order. The hearts of sacrificial victims were offered to the gods, their blood flowing down the temple steps in a symbolic recreation of the rain that nourished the earth. Archaeological excavations conducted since the 1970s have revealed the incredible wealth of artifacts buried within the temple's foundations. Thousands of offerings have been uncovered, including precious stones, gold jewelry, ceramic vessels, and ritual objects from across the Aztec Empire and beyond. These offerings, carefully placed in stone chambers and buried beneath the temple floors, provide invaluable insights into Aztec religious practices, trade networks, and political relationships. Many of these artifacts show clear connections to earlier Mesoamerican civilizations, suggesting that the Aztecs saw themselves as inheritors of ancient traditions that stretched back thousands of years. The temple's astronomical alignments reveal the sophisticated knowledge of the Aztec priests. The structure was oriented to mark important celestial events, including the spring equinox, when the sun would rise directly behind the temple of Tlaloc, and the winter solstice, when it would set behind the temple of Huitzilopochtli. These alignments were not merely decorative but served practical purposes, helping the priests maintain accurate calendars for agricultural and religious purposes. The Aztec calendar system, with its intricate interweaving of solar and ritual cycles, was one of the most sophisticated timekeeping systems in the ancient world. The social and political functions of the Templo Mayor extended far beyond religious ceremony. The temple served as the ceremonial center for the coronation of new rulers, the celebration of military victories, and the conduct of diplomatic relations with neighboring kingdoms. Foreign dignitaries were brought to the temple to witness the power and wealth of the Aztec Empire, and the elaborate ceremonies conducted there served as demonstrations of imperial authority. The temple's elevated position also provided a practical advantage, serving as a watchtower from which priests could observe the surrounding landscape and communicate with other temples throughout the empire. The fall of Tenochtitlan in 1521 marked the end of the Templo Mayor's active religious life. Spanish conquistadors, led by Hernán Cortés, systematically destroyed the temple and used its stones to build colonial structures. The sacred precinct was buried beneath the foundations of the new Spanish colonial city, and for centuries, the location of the Great Temple was lost to history. It was only in the 20th century that archaeologists began to rediscover the temple's remains, launching excavations that continue to this day. But it was in the early 21st century that the most intriguing discovery was made. In 2013, using ground-penetrating radar, archaeologists detected the presence of a large chamber beneath the temple's foundations. Initial surveys suggested that this chamber was connected to the surface by a tunnel, but attempts to explore the passage revealed that it had been deliberately sealed with massive stone blocks. The sealing was so thorough and so carefully constructed that it was clear this was not the result of natural collapse or accidental burial. The Aztecs had intentionally closed this passageway, and they had done so with remarkable permanence. The discovery of this sealed tunnel has raised profound questions about Aztec religious practices and beliefs. Why would a civilization that built such elaborate temples and conducted such complex ceremonies choose to seal off a part of their most sacred structure? What was the purpose of this underground chamber, and why was it deemed so important or so dangerous that it had to be permanently closed? These questions have led archaeologists to examine Aztec texts and codices with new attention, searching for clues about the ritual significance of underground spaces and the religious beliefs that might have motivated such an extreme action. The answers to these questions remain elusive, but the sealed tunnel beneath the Templo Mayor represents a tantalizing glimpse into the hidden depths of Aztec spirituality. As archaeologists continue to study this mysterious passage, they are uncovering evidence that the Aztecs' understanding of the sacred was far more complex and sophisticated than previously imagined. The tunnel may hold the key to understanding not just Aztec religious practices, but the fundamental beliefs that shaped one of the most remarkable civilizations in human history. The mysterious sealing, a portal closed forever. The discovery of the sealed tunnel beneath the Templo Mayor represents one of the most enigmatic archaeological finds in recent memory. Ground-penetrating radar surveys conducted in 2013 revealed the presence of a straight, deliberately constructed passage leading from the temple's foundations to a large chamber deep beneath the structure. The tunnel's dimensions and construction clearly indicate human engineering. This was not a natural cave or the result of geological processes. The passage measures approximately 3 meters in width and appears to descend at a precise angle toward its destination, suggesting careful planning and sophisticated construction techniques. What makes this discovery truly extraordinary is the evidence of deliberate sealing. The tunnel was not simply abandoned or forgotten. It was methodically closed using massive stone blocks, some weighing several tons. These blocks were not randomly placed but were carefully fitted together in a manner that would make reopening the passage extremely difficult. The sealing extends for a considerable distance along the tunnel, creating multiple barriers that would have required enormous effort to construct. This was not a temporary closure but a permanent one, designed to last for centuries. The dating of this sealing operation has proven challenging, but archaeological evidence suggests it occurred during the later phases of the temple's active period, possibly in the 15th century. This timing is significant because it places the sealing during the height of Aztec power, when the empire was at its peak and the temple was the center of elaborate religious ceremonies. The decision to seal the tunnel was not made during a period of decline or external threat, but during a time when the Aztecs had the resources and authority to undertake such a massive project. The construction techniques used in the ceiling reveal the high level of engineering expertise possessed by Aztec builders. The stone blocks were precisely cut and fitted without the use of mortar, relying instead on the accuracy of the joints to create a secure barrier. This technique, known as ashlar masonry, was commonly used in Aztec construction, but the precision required for the tunnel ceiling exceeds even the standards seen in the temple's above-ground structures. The blocks were arranged in a complex interlocking pattern that would distribute stress evenly and prevent any single point of failure. Chemical analysis of the stone blocks used in the ceiling has revealed that they were quarried from the same sources as the temple's main construction materials, indicating that this was an official project conducted by the temple's builders rather than a clandestine operation. The consistency of the construction techniques and materials suggests that the ceiling was carried out by skilled craftsmen working under official authorization, possibly by order of the high priests or even the emperor himself. The symbolic aspects of the ceiling are equally intriguing. Archaeological evidence suggests that the closure was accompanied by elaborate rituals. Offerings have been found placed at intervals along the sealed tunnel, including precious stones, ceramic vessels, and ritual objects associated with death and the underworld. These offerings appear to have been placed as the ceiling progressed, suggesting that the closure itself was viewed as a sacred act requiring proper religious observances. The most compelling evidence for the ritual nature of the ceiling comes from the discovery of carved glyphs on some of the ceiling stones. These glyphs include symbols associated with Mictlan, the Aztec underworld, and with the god Mictlantecuhtli, the Lord of the Dead. The presence of these symbols suggests that the Aztecs viewed the tunnel as a pathway to the realm of the dead, and that the ceiling was intended to control or prevent passage between the world of the living and the underworld. The physical evidence of the ceiling raises profound questions about Aztec religious practices and beliefs. The enormous effort required to construct such a permanent barrier suggests that the Aztecs considered whatever lay beyond the tunnel to be of paramount importance. The ritual aspects of the ceiling indicate that this was not simply a matter of physical security but of spiritual necessity. The Aztecs believed they were containing something that posed a threat to the cosmic order, something that required permanent isolation from the world of the living. Modern archaeological techniques have provided detailed images of the sealed tunnel, but they have also revealed the thoroughness of the Aztec closure. Three-dimensional scanning has shown that the ceiling extends far deeper than initially thought, with multiple barriers creating a complex maze of blocked passages. The precision of the construction and the depth of the ceiling suggest that the Aztecs were determined to ensure that whatever lay beyond would remain permanently inaccessible. The mystery deepens when considering the location of the tunnel within the temple complex. The passage begins beneath the central altar area, the most sacred space in the entire structure. This location suggests that the tunnel was not a secondary or auxiliary feature, but was integral to the temple's original design. The fact that the Aztecs would choose to seal such a centrally located and presumably important passage indicates that something had changed in their understanding of its purpose or significance. Recent geophysical surveys have revealed that the tunnel may not lead to a simple chamber, but to a complex of underground rooms and passages. The sealed tunnel appears to be just one entrance to a larger subterranean network that may extend throughout the temple complex. This discovery has led archaeologists to reconsider the entire structure of the Templo Mayor, suggesting that the visible temple was only the upper portion of a much larger and more complex sacred site. The implications of this discovery extend beyond archaeology into the realm of cultural understanding. The sealing of the tunnel represents a deliberate decision by the Aztecs to close off a part of their religious practice, to abandon or contain something that had previously been considered sacred. This action suggests a level of sophistication in Aztec religious thought that goes beyond simple ritual observance to encompass complex theological considerations about the nature of the sacred and the dangerous. As archaeologists continue to study the sealed tunnel, they are uncovering evidence that challenges conventional understanding of Aztec religion and culture. The tunnel represents not just a physical structure, but a window into the deepest beliefs and fears of one of history's most complex civilizations. The fact that it remains sealed, even after centuries, suggests that the Aztecs' concerns about what lay beyond were profound and enduring. Theories and explanations, unraveling the mystery. The sealed tunnel beneath the Templo Mayor has generated numerous theories attempting to explain its purpose and the reasons for its closure. Each theory offers a different perspective on Aztec religious practices, cosmology, and the complex relationship between the physical and spiritual worlds that characterize their civilization. The diversity of these explanations reflects the complexity of the archaeological evidence and the challenges inherent in interpreting the religious beliefs of a culture that left few written records of its most sacred practices. The first and most widely accepted theory among mainstream archaeologists is that the tunnel served as a symbolic representation of the journey to Mictlan, the Aztec underworld. According to this interpretation, the passage was designed to mirror the mythical path that souls of the dead were believed to take on their journey to the realm of Mictlantecuhtli, the Lord of the Dead. Aztec codices describe this journey as a perilous passage through 9 levels of the underworld, each presenting different challenges and obstacles that the soul must overcome to reach its final destination. This symbolic interpretation is supported by the discovery of ritual objects and offerings along the tunnel's length, particularly items associated with death and the afterlife. The presence of ceramic vessels designed to hold food and water for the dead, along with jade ornaments and obsidian knives used in funeral rites, suggests that the tunnel was used for ceremonies related to death and rebirth. The careful placement of these offerings indicates that the tunnel was not merely a symbolic representation, but an active ritual space where priests conducted elaborate ceremonies to guide the souls of the dead on their journey to the underworld. However, the symbolic interpretation faces significant challenges when confronted with the physical evidence of the tunnel's construction and sealing. The enormous effort required to excavate and construct such a passage, followed by the equally massive undertaking of sealing it permanently, suggests that the tunnel's purpose went beyond mere symbolism. The precision of the construction and the thoroughness of the sealing indicate that the Aztecs viewed the tunnel as having real, tangible significance rather than simply serving as a metaphorical representation of spiritual concepts. A second theory proposes that the tunnel was intended as an actual portal to Mictlan, designed to allow communication or travel between the world of the living and the realm of the dead. This interpretation is based on Aztec religious texts that describe certain locations as having the power to bridge the gap between different levels of existence. According to this theory, the tunnel was constructed to serve as a functional gateway that would allow priests to enter the underworld for purposes of divination, communication with the dead, or the retrieval of sacred knowledge. The portal theory gains support from the discovery of ritual chambers along the tunnel's route, spaces that appear to have been designed for elaborate ceremonies involving multiple participants. The size and complexity of these chambers suggest that they were intended for more than simple offerings or symbolic rituals. The presence of elaborate drainage systems and ventilation shafts indicates that the spaces were designed to accommodate extended ceremonial activities that might involve fire, incense, or other elements requiring air circulation. Archaeological evidence also supports the portal theory through the discovery of objects that appear to be tools or devices used in ritual communication. These include polished obsidian mirrors, ceramic vessels with unusual acoustic properties, and stone platforms that may have been used for divination or spirit communication. The sophisticated design of these objects suggests that the Aztecs possessed advanced understanding of the physical principles involved in their religious practices, possibly including knowledge of acoustics, optics, or other phenomena that could be used to create supernatural effects. The sealing of the tunnel, according to the portal theory, represents a decision by Aztec religious authorities to close off dangerous or uncontrollable access to the underworld. This interpretation suggests that the tunnel may have been used successfully for communication with Mictlan, but that something occurred that convinced the priests that continued access posed a threat to the cosmic order. The thoroughness of the sealing and the ritual nature of the closure support this interpretation, suggesting that the decision to close the portal was made with full understanding of its religious significance. A third theory, favored by some alternative archaeologists, proposes that the tunnel was built by a pre-Aztec civilization and that the Aztecs inherited the structure without fully understanding its original purpose. This theory is based on the observation that the tunnel's construction techniques show differences from typical Aztec masonry, particularly in the precision of the stone cutting and the complexity of the underground architecture. The theory suggests that the tunnel may have been built by the Toltecs, Olmecs, or another earlier civilization, and that the Aztecs sealed it because they feared its unknown powers. The pre-Aztec theory is supported by the discovery of artifacts and architectural elements that appear to predate the Aztec period. Some of the stone carvings found in the tunnel show stylistic similarities to Toltec or Teotihuacan art, suggesting that the passage may have been in use for centuries before the Aztecs arrived in the Valley of Mexico. The theory also explains some of the unusual features of the tunnel's construction, including the use of building techniques that were not commonly employed by the Aztecs in their other construction projects. However, the pre-Aztec theory faces significant challenges from the archaeological evidence. The integration of the tunnel into the Templo Mayor's overall design suggests that it was planned as part of the temple's original construction rather than being a pre-existing feature that was incorporated into the later building. The consistency of the construction materials and techniques with other Aztec structures also argues against the theory that the tunnel was built by a different civilization. A fourth theory suggests that the tunnel was sealed because it contained something that the Aztecs considered dangerous or polluting. This interpretation is based on Aztec concepts of spiritual contamination and the belief that certain objects or locations could become repositories of negative energy that threaten the cosmic balance. According to this theory, the tunnel may have been the site of failed rituals, cursed objects, or other spiritual contamination that required permanent isolation to prevent its spread to the world of the living. The contamination theory is supported by the discovery of unusual deposits in the tunnel, including what appears to be deliberately placed layers of different materials that may have been intended to create spiritual barriers. The presence of specific minerals and substances known to have been used in Aztec purification rituals suggests that the sealing process was intended not just to prevent physical access, but to create a spiritual barrier that would contain whatever contamination existed within the tunnel. The ritual aspects of the sealing process also support the contamination theory. The careful placement of offerings and the use of specific symbols associated with purification and protection suggest that the Aztecs viewed the sealing as a necessary act of spiritual hygiene. The enormous effort invested in the sealing process indicates that they considered the threat posed by the tunnel's contents to be severe enough to justify such extreme measures. A fifth theory proposes that the tunnel was sealed as part of a deliberate effort to protect sacred knowledge or objects from potential desecration. This interpretation suggests that the tunnel contained religious artifacts, texts, or other materials that the Aztecs considered too sacred to risk exposure to the outside world. The sealing would thus represent an act of preservation rather than containment, designed to ensure that sacred materials would remain protected until they could be safely retrieved by authorized individuals. The preservation theory is supported by the discovery of carefully constructed storage chambers within the tunnel, spaces that appear to have been designed to protect their contents from moisture, temperature changes, and other environmental factors that could cause deterioration. The presence of elaborate sealing systems and drainage mechanisms suggests that the Aztecs were concerned about the long-term preservation of whatever was contained within the tunnel. The theory also explains the ritual nature of the sealing process as a necessary consecration of the protective barriers. The placement of offerings and the use of sacred symbols would have been required to ensure that the spiritual protection of the tunnel's contents was maintained over time. The permanent nature of the sealing suggests that the Aztecs intended for the tunnel to remain closed for an extended period, possibly until the return of specific religious conditions or the arrival of authorized individuals who could safely access the sacred contents. Each of these theories offers insights into different aspects of Aztec religious thought and practice, but none fully explains all the evidence associated with the sealed tunnel. The mystery remains unsolved, challenging archaeologists to continue their investigation and forcing them to reconsider fundamental assumptions about Aztec civilization and its relationship to the spiritual world. Archaeological evidence, what the stones reveal. The physical evidence uncovered during the excavation of the Templo Mayor and the investigation of the sealed tunnel has provided archaeologists with a wealth of information about Aztec religious practices, construction techniques, and cosmological beliefs. However, the artifacts and structures discovered have also raised new questions and contradictions that complicate efforts to understand the tunnel's purpose and significance. The archaeological record presents a complex picture of Aztec spirituality that challenges conventional interpretations and suggests that the civilization's religious practices were far more sophisticated and mysterious than previously understood. The most significant archaeological discovery related to the tunnel has been the series of offering chambers found along its length. These chambers, carved directly into the bedrock beneath the temple, contain carefully arranged collections of artifacts that provide insights into Aztec religious practices and beliefs about death and the afterlife. The offerings include precious stones, ceramic vessels, ritual knives, and figurines representing various deities associated with the underworld. The precision of their placement and the elaborate nature of the containers suggest that these were not casual offerings but carefully planned deposits made during important religious ceremonies. Among the most intriguing artifacts discovered in the offering chambers are a series of obsidian mirrors, polished to extraordinary smoothness and inscribed with symbols that appear to represent maps or diagrams of the underworld. These mirrors, some measuring over a meter in diameter, show a level of craftsmanship that rivals the finest examples of Aztec art. The inscriptions on their surfaces include glyphs representing the 9 levels of Mictlan, pathways through the underworld, and symbols associated with the gods of death and rebirth. The mirrors' placement in the chambers suggests that they were used for divination or ritual communication, possibly serving as tools for priests to peer into the realm of the dead. The construction techniques employed in the tunnel's excavation reveal sophisticated engineering knowledge that challenges assumptions about Aztec technological capabilities. The tunnel was carved through solid bedrock using techniques that left remarkably smooth surfaces and precise angles. The absence of tool marks or irregularities in the stonework suggests that the Aztecs possessed advanced knowledge of stone cutting and shaping that has not been documented in other examples of their construction. The precision of the work rivals that found in the finest examples of Inca stonework, suggesting that the Aztecs may have possessed similar advanced techniques for working with stone. The ventilation and drainage systems discovered within the tunnel represent another example of sophisticated engineering that exceeds what is typically associated with Aztec construction. The tunnel includes a complex network of air shafts that would have provided fresh air to the underground chambers, as well as drainage channels designed to prevent flooding during the rainy season. The careful design of these systems suggests that the tunnel was intended for extended use by multiple people, rather than serving as a simple symbolic passage or storage space. One of the most mysterious aspects of the archaeological evidence is the discovery of what appear to be acoustic chambers within the tunnel system. These spaces, carved with specific dimensions and shapes, seem to have been designed to amplify or modify sound in particular ways. Acoustic testing has revealed that the chambers can produce unusual resonance effects, including the ability to create sounds that seem to come from different directions or that have an otherworldly quality. The purpose of these acoustic effects remains unclear, but they suggest that sound played an important role in the religious ceremonies conducted within the tunnel. The dating of the various artifacts found in the tunnel has proven challenging and has produced some contradictory results. While most of the objects appear to date from the classic Aztec period, some artifacts show stylistic features that suggest they may be significantly older. These include ceramic vessels with decorative motifs that resemble those found in Toltec sites, and stone carvings that show influences from even earlier Mesoamerican cultures. The presence of these older artifacts suggests that the tunnel may have been in use for a much longer period than previously thought, possibly serving as a sacred site for multiple successive civilizations. The sealed stones themselves have provided valuable information about the methods and timing of the tunnel's closure. Analysis of the mortar used to secure the sealing stones has revealed that it contains materials not commonly found in other Aztec construction, including rare minerals that may have been chosen for their symbolic or spiritual properties. The composition of the mortar suggests that the sealing was conducted using special materials that were considered necessary for the spiritual containment of whatever lay beyond the barriers. Radiocarbon dating of organic materials found within the mortar has provided a timeline for the sealing process, indicating that it was conducted over a period of several years rather than as a single event. This extended timeline suggests that the sealing was a deliberate, carefully planned operation rather than an emergency response to immediate danger. The gradual nature of the process indicates that the Aztecs took great care to ensure that the sealing was complete and permanent, possibly conducting elaborate rituals at each stage of the closure. The most controversial archaeological discovery has been the presence of what appear to be technological artifacts within the tunnel system. These objects, including metal components and carved stone devices with unknown functions, do not fit easily into conventional understanding of Aztec technology. Some researchers have suggested that these artifacts represent evidence of advanced knowledge that has been lost to history, while others argue that they are misidentified natural formations or objects from later periods that found their way into the tunnel through unknown means. The technological artifacts include what appear to be precisely machined metal objects, some showing signs of having been created using techniques that were not supposed to exist in pre-Columbian America. These objects have been subjected to extensive analysis, but their purpose and origin remain unclear. Some show signs of having been exposed to extreme heat or pressure, suggesting that they may have been part of some kind of industrial or ritual process that required advanced knowledge of metallurgy or chemistry. The discovery of carved stone tablets within the tunnel has provided additional insights into Aztec religious beliefs and practices. These tablets, covered with intricate glyphs and symbols, appear to contain instructions or descriptions of rituals related to death and the afterlife. The complexity of the texts suggests that they were created by skilled scribes with advanced knowledge of Aztec religious doctrine, but many of the symbols and concepts described in the tablets do not appear in other known Aztec texts. This suggests that the tunnel may have been associated with esoteric religious practices that were not part of the general Aztec religious system. The tablets also contain what appear to be warnings or prohibitions related to the tunnel's use. These texts, written in a formal ceremonial style, describe the dangers of improper access to the underworld and the consequences of disturbing the balance between the world of the living and the realm of the dead. The presence of these warnings suggests that the Aztecs were aware of specific risks associated with the tunnel's use and that the sealing may have been motivated by concerns about these dangers. Despite the wealth of archaeological evidence uncovered during the investigation of the tunnel, many questions remain unanswered. The artifacts and structures discovered provide tantalizing glimpses into Aztec religious practices and beliefs, but they also present contradictions and anomalies that challenge conventional interpretations. The evidence suggests that the tunnel was more than a simple religious site, but its true purpose and significance remain elusive. The ongoing archaeological investigation of the tunnel continues to reveal new evidence and raise new questions. Each discovery adds to the complex picture of Aztec civilization and its sophisticated understanding of the relationship between the physical and spiritual worlds. However, the sealed nature of much of the tunnel system means that many of its secrets remain hidden, waiting for future archaeological techniques and technologies to reveal them. Mystical interpretations, legends, and forbidden knowledge. Beyond the realm of conventional archaeology lies a shadowy landscape of legend, folklore, and esoteric interpretation that has grown around the mystery of the sealed tunnel beneath the Templo Mayor. These alternative explanations, while not accepted by mainstream academia, reflect deep-seated human intuitions about the nature of sacred power and the dangers that may lurk in the spaces between worlds. The persistence of these mystical interpretations, despite their lack of scientific validation, suggests that the tunnel touches something fundamental in human consciousness about the relationship between the known and the unknown, the safe and the dangerous, the sacred and the profane. The most pervasive legend surrounding the tunnel concerns its role as an actual portal to Mictlan, not merely a symbolic representation, but a functioning gateway that allowed passage between the world of the living and the realm of the dead. According to this interpretation, the tunnel was constructed using knowledge that went beyond ordinary architectural techniques, incorporating principles of sacred geometry and cosmic alignment that created a genuine opening in the fabric of reality. The Aztec priests, according to this legend, possessed knowledge of how to manipulate the fundamental forces of existence, creating portals that could bridge the gap between different levels of reality. This portal theory is supported by accounts in indigenous oral traditions that describe the tunnel as a place where the boundary between life and death became permeable. These traditions, passed down through generations of native peoples in the Valley of Mexico, speak of priests who could enter the tunnel and return with knowledge from the realm of the dead, bringing back prophecies, healing knowledge, and spiritual wisdom that could not be obtained through ordinary means. The tunnel, in this interpretation, served as a two-way passage that allowed not only the living to enter the underworld but also permitted the dead to communicate with the living world. The sealing of the tunnel, according to these mystical interpretations, was not motivated by archaeological or practical concerns, but by spiritual necessity. The legends suggest that something went wrong with the portal's operation, that the boundary between worlds became unstable, or that entities from the underworld began to emerge into the realm of the living. The sealing was thus an emergency measure designed to prevent a catastrophic breakdown of the cosmic order, a desperate attempt to restore the proper separation between the world of the living and the realm of the dead. Contemporary practitioners of indigenous Mexican spirituality have offered their own interpretations of the tunnel's significance. These modern shamans and curanderos, drawing on traditions that claim unbroken lineage from pre-Columbian times, describe the tunnel as a place of ultimate spiritual power that was sealed because humanity was not ready to handle its energies. According to this interpretation, the tunnel contains knowledge or power that could transform human consciousness, but the Aztecs recognized that such transformation would be dangerous or destructive if not properly controlled. The concept of the tunnel as a repository of forbidden knowledge has found expression in various esoteric traditions that have grown up around the mystery. These traditions suggest that the tunnel contains not just artifacts or ceremonial spaces, but actual information about the nature of reality that was too dangerous to remain accessible. This knowledge, according to these interpretations, might include advanced technological information, spiritual techniques that could alter consciousness, or cosmic wisdom that could fundamentally change human understanding of existence. Some mystical interpretations focus on the tunnel's potential connection to broader networks of sacred sites and ley lines that span the globe. According to these theories, the tunnel beneath the Templo Mayor is part of a worldwide grid of sacred locations that were recognized and utilized by ancient civilizations. The tunnel's sealing, in this interpretation, was part of a coordinated effort to shut down this ancient network, possibly in response to misuse of its power or to prevent its exploitation by inappropriate individuals or groups. The acoustic properties of the tunnel, documented by archaeological investigation, have inspired mystical interpretations that focus on sound as a tool for altering consciousness and accessing other dimensions of reality. According to these theories, the tunnel's chambers were designed to create specific sound frequencies that could induce altered states of consciousness, allowing priests to communicate with otherworldly entities or access hidden knowledge. The sealing of the tunnel, in this interpretation, was motivated by concerns about the dangerous effects of these acoustic phenomena on human consciousness. Astrological and astronomical interpretations of the tunnel's significance have emerged from studies of its alignment with celestial bodies and its relationship to Aztec calendar systems. These interpretations suggest that the tunnel was designed to channel cosmic energies or to serve as a focal point for astrological influences. The sealing of the tunnel, according to these theories, was timed to coincide with specific astronomical events that would have made its continued operation dangerous or inappropriate. The role of psychoactive substances in Aztec religious practices has led to mystical interpretations that focus on the tunnel as a space for consciousness-altering experiences. These theories suggest that the tunnel was used for elaborate rituals involving the consumption of hallucinogenic plants or other substances that could induce visions or spiritual experiences. The sealing of the tunnel, in this interpretation, was motivated by concerns about the dangerous or unpredictable effects of these substances when used in such a powerful sacred space. Modern UFO and ancient astronaut theories have also been applied to the tunnel mystery, suggesting that it may have been connected to visitations by extraterrestrial beings or advanced civilizations from other worlds. According to these interpretations, the tunnel served as a meeting place or communication center for contact with non-human intelligences. The sealing of the tunnel, in this view, was either an attempt to prevent continued contact with these entities or a protective measure taken after such contact proved dangerous or destabilizing. The persistence of these mystical interpretations reflects deep human needs to find meaning and significance in archaeological mysteries that conventional science cannot fully explain. While these theories lack empirical support, they serve important psychological and cultural functions, providing frameworks for understanding the profound sense of mystery and spiritual power that seems to emanate from the sealed tunnel. They also reflect genuine questions about the limits of current knowledge and the possibility that ancient civilizations possessed understanding or capabilities that have been lost to modern society. The mystical interpretations of the tunnel also serve as a reminder of the profound spiritual significance that sacred sites hold for indigenous peoples and others who maintain traditional relationships with the land and its history. These interpretations, while not scientifically validated, represent legitimate cultural and spiritual perspectives that deserve respect and consideration as part of the broader human response to archaeological mystery. The legends and mystical interpretations surrounding the tunnel continue to evolve as new discoveries are made, and as different cultural groups contribute their own perspectives to the mystery. These alternative explanations, while existing outside the realm of conventional archaeology, provide valuable insights into the human need to understand and relate to the unknown, the sacred, and the potentially dangerous aspects of our shared past. Conclusion: the eternal question. The sealed tunnel beneath the Templo Mayor stands as one of archaeology's most compelling mysteries, a physical manifestation of the complex relationship between human civilization and the forces that lie beyond ordinary understanding. After decades of investigation, advanced technological analysis, and scholarly debate, the fundamental questions surrounding the tunnel remain unanswered. What was its original purpose? Why did the Aztecs choose to seal it with such thoroughness and permanence? What lies beyond the stone barriers that have protected its secrets for centuries? The archaeological evidence presents a paradox that challenges conventional understanding of Aztec civilization. Here was a society that built elaborate temples, conducted complex religious ceremonies, and maintained sophisticated calendrical and astronomical systems. Yet they chose to permanently close off what appears to have been one of their most important sacred sites. The enormous effort required to seal the tunnel, the ritual nature of the closure, and the precision of the engineering all point to a decision made at the highest levels of Aztec society, a decision that reflected profound concerns about the nature of what lay beyond the barriers. The various theories proposed to explain the tunnel's purpose and sealing reflect the complexity of the evidence and the limitations of current archaeological understanding. The symbolic interpretation, while plausible, seems inadequate to explain the massive investment of labor and resources required for the tunnel's construction and sealing. The portal theory, while intriguing, relies on concepts that challenge conventional understanding of pre-Columbian technology and spirituality. The contamination theory provides a framework for understanding the sealing as a protective measure, but it raises questions about what could have posed such a threat that permanent isolation was deemed necessary. The mystical interpretations, while lacking empirical support, address fundamental human questions about the nature of sacred power and the possibility that ancient civilizations possessed knowledge or capabilities that have been lost to modern society. These alternative explanations, regardless of their scientific validity, reflect the profound sense of mystery and spiritual significance that surrounds the tunnel and its sealed chambers. The technological sophistication revealed in the tunnel's construction and sealing challenges assumptions about Aztec capabilities and suggests that the civilization possessed engineering knowledge that was more advanced than previously recognized. The precision of the stonework, the complexity of the ventilation and drainage systems, and the acoustic properties of the chambers all point to a level of technical expertise that rivals modern construction techniques. This sophistication raises questions about the sources of Aztec knowledge and the possibility that they inherited or developed technologies that have not been fully documented in the archaeological record. The ritual aspects of the tunnel's sealing provide insights into Aztec religious thought and the sophisticated theological considerations that guided their spiritual practices. The careful placement of offerings, the use of specific symbols and materials, and the extended timeline of the sealing process all suggest that the Aztecs approached the closure with full understanding of its religious significance. The sealing was not an emergency response, but a deliberate, carefully planned operation that reflected complex beliefs about the relationship between the physical and spiritual worlds. The ongoing investigation of the tunnel continues to reveal new evidence and raise new questions. Each technological advance in archaeological methodology brings the possibility of new discoveries that could shed light on the tunnel's purpose and significance. Ground-penetrating radar, three-dimensional scanning, and other non-invasive techniques are gradually revealing the full extent of the underground complex, but many areas remain inaccessible due to the thoroughness of the Aztec sealing. The ethical considerations surrounding the tunnel's investigation also present important questions about the relationship between scientific inquiry and respect for indigenous cultural values. The tunnel was sealed by the Aztecs for reasons that they considered sufficient to justify enormous effort and permanent closure. The decision to investigate or potentially open the tunnel raises questions about whether modern society has the right to override the deliberate actions of past civilizations, particularly when those actions appear to have been motivated by spiritual or cultural concerns. The tunnel's mystery extends beyond academic archaeological interest to touch on fundamental questions about the nature of human knowledge and the limitations of scientific understanding. The sealed chambers represent a deliberate choice to hide knowledge or contain power, a decision that reflects sophisticated understanding of the potential dangers or responsibilities associated with certain types of information or spiritual practices. The persistence of the mystery despite extensive investigation suggests that some aspects of human experience may lie beyond the reach of conventional scientific methodology. The cultural impact of the tunnel mystery extends beyond the archaeological community to influence broader discussions about the nature of ancient civilizations and the possibility of lost knowledge. The tunnel has become a symbol of the unknown aspects of human history and a reminder that conventional historical narratives may not capture the full complexity of past civilizations. The mystery challenges assumptions about the linear progression of human knowledge and technology, suggesting that ancient societies may have possessed understanding or capabilities that have been lost or forgotten. The tunnel beneath the Templo Mayor ultimately represents more than an archaeological puzzle. It embodies the eternal human confrontation with the unknown and the unknowable. The Aztecs' decision to seal the tunnel reflects a profound understanding of the relationship between knowledge and responsibility, between power and danger, between the sacred and the profane. Their choice to permanently close the passage suggests that they possessed wisdom about the limits of human understanding and the potential consequences of transgressing those limits. As we continue to investigate the tunnel's mysteries, we are forced to confront our own assumptions about the nature of knowledge, the validity of different ways of understanding the world, and the appropriate relationship between scientific inquiry and cultural respect. The tunnel challenges us to consider whether there are some mysteries that should remain unsolved, some doors that should stay closed, and some knowledge that should remain hidden. The question that haunts the investigation of the tunnel is not simply what lies beyond the sealed barriers, but whether we have the wisdom to handle whatever knowledge or power might be contained within. The Aztecs made their choice, investing enormous effort to ensure that the tunnel would remain closed. Their decision reflects a sophisticated understanding of the potential consequences of their actions and a willingness to sacrifice immediate access to knowledge or power in favor of long-term stability and safety. In the end, the sealed tunnel beneath the Templo Mayor stands as a testament to the complexity of human civilization and the enduring power of mystery. It reminds us that despite our technological advances and scientific achievements, there remain aspects of human experience that lie beyond our current understanding. The tunnel represents a bridge between the known and the unknown, the explained and the inexplicable, the safe and the dangerous. Whether that bridge should be crossed remains the ultimate question that the mystery poses to our modern world. The tunnel waits, silent and sealed, holding its secrets in the darkness beneath the great temple. The stone barriers placed by Aztec hands remain intact, testament to their determination to keep whatever lies beyond permanently separated from the world of the living. The mystery endures, challenging each generation to decide whether the pursuit of knowledge is worth the risk of releasing forces that an ancient civilization deemed too dangerous to remain accessible. In that choice lies not just the future of the tunnel's secrets, but a fundamental test of human wisdom and restraint in the face of the unknown.